walking up to you, asking you questions, seeing there's something a little different about you, but not quite sure what it is. I wanted to talk today. God placed in my heart real heavy. All of us, and especially what we're going through in America today, we all got some giants in our life, some Goliaths. And that Goliath can be anything to any one of us, because we're all individuals. We've all come from different places. We've all experienced different things. The only thing we really got in common is we're flesh and blood. And then the more we hang, we'll see there's other things that we have in common, or we form that brotherhood or sisterhood that we form with one another. And if you find a good brotherhood or sisterhood nowadays, you found a good thing. Because believe me, I've been around for a little bit. It's hard to find a real brother, a real sister in these days. But that's what our world become. But I look at Goliath and see what Goliath represents and his intimidation to the armies. The Bible teaches us he stood about 9 foot tall. And there was a real Goliath. They found his grave. They located the city that he lived in. He was a Palestinian, but he stood about 9 foot tall. But he just, he intimidated people as he walked in. And some of y'all know that one of the first things you learn in the club is the bigger they are, the harder they fall. You know, that you don't get intimidated by it. You look at it as an opportunity. So you look at things on that side of the world a little bit different perspective than you do in other ways. But anyway, what I find unique about David and Goliath is you look at David, was nothing but a boy. I want y'all brothers to think about something, y'all sisters too. When I say a boy, he was probably around 16 in that area at this time. He wasn't even old enough to go out and fight yet. His brothers were fighting. Matter of fact, he was a shepherd at the time watching the flock. But his father wanted him to go check on the brothers. Go check your brothers, see what's happening. Maybe take them down a little munchy something to eat or something. Just make sure everything's all right. So him being the loyal son he was, he had somebody else there watching over the flock. He says, I'm going to check on my brothers. I'm going to head down to the battlefield. Well, the Palestinians were on one knoll and the other ones were on another knoll, and they were going down to the valley where Goliath, he had walked down that valley and challenged them. He'd called their God everything but what God was. He was trying to humiliate them, trying to disgrace them. Here, y'all send 9 of your men out to me. Like I said, he was 9 foot tall. These guys probably weighed in or walked around about 5.5 foot, maybe. They weren't as tall back then as they are nowadays even. The people were shorter. Well, here's this young boy, 16. Y'all remember how your hormones worked when you were 16? Remember the places we were told we weren't supposed to go? Things we were told we're not supposed to do. What did we do? All the things we were told we weren't supposed to do, places we weren't supposed to go. We did all those things, every one of us. I don't care where we've come from. We all got a little bit of that black duckling in us, of the family, you know. But I look at David, as he's trying to be a loyal son. He's going to go check on his brothers and watching these sheep. I tell y'all something, since I've come to Florida, I've become a shepherd. I raise goats. I've learned so much raising these animals, just watching these animals. My goats have taught me more about brotherhood than any brothers ever taught me. I'm going to tell you that. But at the same time, I like that respect. I've got an Anatolian shepherd that if I go to feed my big buck, he's about 235, 240. When I go to feed him, that Anatolian shepherd will go and make sure those female does don't mess with his food. And they all stay away. But then that buck lets her take a few bites of that grain. By her doing that, he's showing, well, you watch my back, and you go ahead and put something in your belly. And he'll stand there and let her do that. It's tick for tack. They're looking out for each other. He knows she watches his back while he takes a sleep. But she also knows he's watching when she takes a nap. Buck's on guard then. They work as a team. And watch the dogs, the way they work as a team. One will be in one field and they'll let them know there's something on this side that don't belong here. All of them are on guard then. All the goats hear the dogs, and then they go into their little pack or their little circle. It's no different in real life, y'all, than how God set up all of us. Y'all know when you walk in a place and you're not supposed to be there, a little hair on the back of your neck will stand up. There's something that tells you you should have kept on going. But there's something else inside of you that excites you. Let's find out what this is all about. You know, that's our human nature. I look at this 16-year-old kid, and I watch this king that's he's scared to death of this Palestine, this 9-foot Palestine. All his men are scared to death of him. They don't want to fight him. All they see is this 9-foot man. How in the world can I get through that? I can't go over it. I can't go through it. I can't go around it. He's going to kill me. That's all that's on their mind, so they're not going to do it. Here comes a little 16-year-old punk kid. Now, don't have nothing but a sling. The Bible says he reaches down and he gets 5 smooth stones. And he gets those stones to put up into that sling that he's got. But what's unique, this king offered him all his armor. He could put on his shield, take his plate, his helmet. He could have had all that. He refused to wear it. I want y'all to listen to something for a minute. When you're a child of God, and you know you're a child of God, not because the preacher tells you you're a child of God, not because your mama tells you you're a child of God, because you know your relationship between you and God. And it's not the same relationship that I have, or Jan has, or Ann has, or anybody else has. We all have our own individual relationship with our Father God. And it's something that we speak in a language that we both understand. See, you're not me. You haven't been through what I've been through. And the things I've told you ain't a fly on a donkey's ass to what I've been through. And none of you would be able to understand that unless you've gone through it. And you have to live something to understand it. Amen? But you can't tell me because of who I am, and I don't dot my I's the way you dot your I's, or cross your T's the way you cross your T's, that I'm not a child of God, because I'm a warrior of God. And I'll fight that to my last dying breath. And I might cuss you out while I'm fighting. Well, how can you cuss me out and call yourself a child of God? Who made it a curse word? Too many of us listen to man and listen to the written word more than we listen to the living word. And the living word is who we got to listen to. That's what David was listening to right now. He was listening to this big man run his mouth about what a pig our God was, what a slob our God was, what a punk all the Israeli was, because they couldn't even stand up to fight a man. You know, they were all punks. They were putting them down. And here David a 16-year-old reaches down and picks up 5 stones, but he steps out and there's one thing different than him than all the rest of that army. 2 things. Faith and lack of fear. Fear will destroy your life. And you need to understand it. Anybody that's been in the biker world and the biker world for any length of time knows. You walk into any place and you let somebody just feel a little bit of fear on you, your life is over then, man. They'll make your life miserable as miserable can be, and they'll enjoy punking you out. You're a lot better off just getting you a good old-timey ass whooping and get some respect, and then your day will go good from there on out. I'm telling you the honest truth. But it's the same way in life. Sometimes we roll too fast. Sometimes we're not listening to the word of the Holy Spirit, to the living word. We're listening to a written word or something that man has taken and changed and trying to control our life. And in America, wake up. They're trying to take more and more of our rights away from us. Ones that'll notice it before other ones. I'm sorry, y'all, it's some brothers my age that's been through the Vietnam War and some of these things that some of y'all might not really understand because we were treated like crap when we came home. But we're seeing things now that some of y'all's eyes aren't opening to of what's happening in our country and our rights being taken away from us. And if we don't stand up as men, and let me back up, as godly men, if we don't stand up as David did to Goliath and not punk down, not back up, but stand up with no fear in us and face that giant, whatever that giant is. I believe with all my heart God's going to do something with this group of people right here. I believe it with all my heart. I believed it before we ever came here. He showed me something. And I see it happening. It's not happening with me, but it's going to happen with this group of people. Amen. Because people are sick and tired of being lied to. They're sick and tired of being told that they can't be who they are, and they got to be something different. God knows who we are. He made us the way we are, and He loves us for who we are. And I don't care what anybody else cares about you or what they feel about you. What makes you a child of God is your personal relationship between you and God, not what somebody else feels that you need to be like to be a child of God. You know, I look at David as he stood out. Imagine David, like I said, he probably was all maybe 5'3", 5'4". He was a 16-year-old boy. Got 5 little stones in his hand. Put one in that sling and start slinging it. Now, brother, understand something. He slung a sling before. So he knew what he was doing with that sling. And he knew where to put that rock. He knew where to put that stone. He put it right between his eyes. Amen. I had a brother ask me the other day, I've tried, I fought for a while to try to keep him out, but he just went into a 1% club. And it don't matter what club. And he was asking me, well, what happens, Rev, if I'm out with these guys and the other clubs show? I said, well, you're either going to get your ass whipped or you're going to whip some ass. And he says, excuse me? I said, well, just what I said. You're going to get your ass whipped or you're going to whip some ass. That's what you wanted, isn't it? He said, what do you mean that's what I wanted? Well, you're being somebody else's punk, doing everything that they want you to do. You got to jump when they say jump. You got to get on that scoot and say where they say to go. Why? You could have been anywhere you wanted to be on your scoot at any time. You didn't have to prove anything to anybody of what you got on your chest that you're a man. A man makes a patch. A patch doesn't make a man. And I said, brother, he said, well, what do I do, Rev? Where do I throw my first punch? I said, brother, you got yourself into this. You're a grown man. I can't be out there and fight for you too, you know? And it breaks my heart. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about, you know? But if you've never probated for a club, you really don't understand. But I'm not putting down anybody that's in a club. I've been in a club. But it's just not for me no more. And I've got plenty of brothers that are in clubs, and I support them, I love them, but if I can keep you out of the club, I'm going to keep you out of the club. That's just what's in my heart. Because there's only one club. That's the club of Jesus Christ. If we all get into that and watch over each other's back and be who we're supposed to be as the stewards of this world, everything's going to be good. But we got to stay focused. Not, oh, I can't go out here today and do this and then go talk about Jesus to somebody. I got news for you. You don't have to go talk about Jesus to nobody. When they find out who you are, they're going to come to you and start talking to you. You don't ever take a Bible nowhere and wave it in somebody's face. If you don't have enough Bible up in here, you need to keep your mouth shut for a while and just pray, okay? That's why y'all hear me say, you want to be with somebody that's walking with the living word, not just somebody talking the written word. The devil knows the written word, and the devil will use the written word to beat you up, to make you feel you're not worthy to be the man or woman of God that you are. And you're worthy just where you're at and who you are, because each of us in this room can reach somebody that somebody else can't reach. And sometimes we get too damn holy for our own britches. And that's the problem in life, you know. I saw a guy one day, and I'm not going to mention who he was with either, but we were at a red and white party in New York. Had the fire going. Everything was going. He was in there. He was drinking his beer, and he was smoking his weed. He was wearing his cuts. It was a Christian cut. The guy walked over to him and said, "Brother, I want to know the difference between you and me." The guy made a mistake to look at him and say, "Well, I know Jesus." Well, he got his ass whipped. Colors got thrown in the fire. And then he was asked to leave. I had another brother walk over to me later and said, "Rev, you all right?" I said, "Man, I'm having a good time. How about you?" He said, "Well, you aren't worried, are you?" I said, "What I got to be worried about?" He said, "Rev, most of these guys here are more afraid of what you got's going to jump on them than they are of anything you're going to say or do here." He said, but everybody knew I was real. I was about what I'm about. I'm not the judge. Never judged nobody. Amen. But if you don't have God in your life, man, I don't care who you are, you're missing out on a wonderful thing, man. It's the only thing that'll give you peace. It's the only thing that'll give you peace. And we all look at, because we've been in different churches, we've learned different religions, but most of us have never met God. And that's my heart's desire, is to introduce you to Him. I want to introduce you to where you can have some peace, man, that you can go out here and do a walk Man, when I go out in the mornings and I walk to my pasture and I call my dogs, I said, let's go check the line. I'm checking my electrical fence line. But man, what I'm really doing is just getting in nature with my dogs and God and listening. What you got for me today, Father? You know, some days I record these and I post them. After I look at them, if I don't want to post them, I don't post them. Because sometimes I say things that aren't supposed to go out of here. They probably do, but that's all right. But what I'm saying, I don't want to be offensive to people on the air. And sometimes I'm just like anybody else. I make mistakes. I fall short. I get caught up in the moment. God's done a wonderful thing in my life, man. He's done so much in my life. It's unreal. Changed my life. There's people in this room right now that's known me just about these two men know me just about my whole life, so they know more about me than probably any of y'all can even start to guess. But it's strange, though, when you got people that know you that well and know where I've come from and what I've done. Just because I've come from certain places and done certain things don't mean I wasn't praying when I was doing the crap I was doing even. I was coming to God even back then. He was easing me in with it. You know, I'd pray. I remember, you know, I'm not Catholic, but all my buddies I ran with were Catholic. So when they their wives would light candles for them, they'd also light a candle for me. Slip that candle up under the bed. You know? I think we get too caught up into religion. And we need to understand religion can be controlling. That's why we have so many different cults. That's why we have in the Baptist faith alone, there's over 28 different Baptist churches. Stop and think about that for a minute. That's because one person don't believe like this person believes, so we'll start a church believing this. You know? People get all upset thinking Jesus might have had a woman. The Bible says he was a man. I'll get some of you upset today. See, there's all kind of possibilities. We don't know everything. We just think we do. But it's a spiritual thing, and spirit dwells in each and every one of us, whether you got a bad spirit or a good spirit. It dwells right here in your heart. So God don't dwell off in outer space somewhere. He's right here in this room in each of our hearts. And so is the devil. So is Lucifer. That's the old Cherokee saying, you feeding the good wolf or the bad wolf? I know my bad wolf's still alive. I hear him growl every now and then. Sometimes the hair standing up on the back of my neck ain't my hair standing up. It's that old wolf's hair standing up. And it's starting to come out because the devil knows how to bring them out. It will only take like that. Don't think it's no harder than that. God knows it's that easy too to bring it out. You know, that's why you got to eat the good more than the evil. You know, that's why you got to separate yourself sometimes. You know, I've gone with these motorcycle ministries. They think the whole thing to do, let's go hang out at the clubhouse. What do you want to be at the clubhouse for? Well, we're going to go there to witness. Don't you realize you're being witnessed to at the same time? Don't you realize what these guys will do to your old man when he gets over in that corner? Amen. Sending their girl over there to him. And then what are you going to do when she pulls her shirt up, shakes your titties at her? You going to get all upset, go in the clubhouse and start a fight over it? Stop and think about what I'm saying, people. We get ourselves in situations sometimes that we don't understand what we're getting ourselves involved in and what we're getting into. We get over our heads and then we get ourselves hurt. Just because you think a little different than somebody else thinks. That's all it is. You know? I'm not going to keep you no more. I just want you to hear my version of Goliath, because it could be anybody's got a Goliath. But every one of us here is no different than that 16-year-old kid. All we got to do is have faith and no fear. You can't walk into an animal pen and let an animal see fear on you. you'll never capture that animal. It's the same thing in life. Devil can't see fear on you. You want to get the devil when you get up in the morning, he goes, oh shit, he's up again. He's upset because you're doing your thing. Don't be afraid of the devil. Go ahead on to him. Let's end with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we give you all praise, all glory, all honor. I thank you for this appointed time that we can come together and hear your word one more time. I ask, Father, right now in the name of Jesus, that you allow us to take this word with us and give it to someone else. Father, we give you all praise, all glory, and all honor. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Amen and amen. God